so there was
Oh,
you just can't imagine how much we appreciate what the Lost Pines Garden Club has done for the library. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you also. I've been with the library for a very long time. The Garden Club has been supporting us for many, many years, and it does make an enormous difference in what we can present for summer and throughout the year for the kids, for the community. And I also know that there are other libraries who go out and they have to raise money. But I am so fortunate to have friends and also the Garden Club. I haven't had to raise money in about 13 years. I know how fortunate we are, and I am so very grateful to everyone who helps
Take this
with
and then
the
take
plant sale, and then everyone who just comes and supports the
and
Garden
then
Club.
stop it. Okay.
We are very glad that y'all are
Can you tell us a little something about the summer's program?
Sure. So this summer our theme is All Together Now, and we have lots of stuff planned. We are going to have 2 performers, and our performers the crowds have grown so much that we are actually going to be at the convention center this year for both performances. We have a guy who's called the Mad Hatter, and he does a science show, and it's with bubbles. So it should be really good. The other thing that we're having is called Stars and Science, and so they're going to project things up and talk about the stars. So that also should be very, very good, and they'll both be at the convention center. Of course, it's a reading program, so we encourage everyone to read. We ask everyone, kids, teenagers, adults, to read 500 minutes. And if you read 500 minutes, children get a free book that the friends purchase. And then adults do what?
With some of the funds from the Lost Pines Garden.
Some of it, but mostly.
Okay.
We say 500 minutes. 500 minutes.
Oh, minutes.
Minutes. Yes.
Does listening to one of the books on tape in the car count?
No.
Yes. If you read for work, if you read a website, if you listen to books, if you read to your kids, if you read the serial novels. I always say I am not the reading police, so any kind of reading that you do, if you want to count it, you go right ahead. And the reason we count audiobooks is because some kids are dyslexic and they listen to books. So that works out just as well for them. So we want everyone to read. When you read your 500 minutes, you also get a ticket to put into some baskets, some gift baskets, and we usually have pretty nice gift baskets for everybody to name them for.
Excuse me, did you say that reading to your grandchildren counts too?
Oh yeah, you know, when parents bring their kids to story time, we're like, okay, so we read for 20 minutes. Be sure to put that down on your kids' reading. Yep,
Well, I
anytime.
have to say that you do a great job, and this library is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Compared to a lot of other libraries that I've been in.
Well, thank you. So we have a lot of stuff going on. We'll have a calendar out probably in about the next 3 or 4 weeks. So we'll have all kinds of events. But we're also, this summer, we're focusing and having a few more adult programs. So I hope that some of y'all will check it out and come and visit us and read this summer. Please. Yeah. All right.
So, when do you need the raffle items by?
Oh, for the sale.
Yeah, I would say we're setting up on Thursday before the sale, so that's the 20th, I believe.
The 20th, yes.
For that.
Yes, and you can just bring them to the library, and we'll hold them for.
Right, you have to drop them off early. She's got them all, she can store them.
Right, they're in the silent auction.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Is that March 20th or April 20th?
April.
Okay.
April.
We got time.
Yeah, you got plenty of time. Well, not plenty. Also, Grace is still looking for book donations, so if you need to clean off your shelves, we could definitely use some more book donations.
But children's books are all books.
Everything. Children's books, everything. Yeah.
So, children
number we always tell people, right? 300 kids complete 500 minutes. So that's what I think is important. We had a 52% completion rate. So,
All right, well, thank y'all very much. We have new guests, so would you stand and introduce yourself? Who's new tonight? You? Okay. You? And her, you want to stand?
Oh, well, I just wanted to say, Norm and I met each other when I was the Smithville Garden Club president. And we met each other at the Smithville Library last week, I think. And he said he was doing a presentation today, so we might just steal him for one of our presentations. So we're coming to check him out.
All right, so let's take a moment, go in here so we can go home tonight, maybe.
Okay, so let's see, let me turn this down. If this is reasonable, can you hear okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, the audio in here in the room is kind of marginal, so we won't be able to hear properly. So what I'll be talking about is, I'm big on gardening. Actually, frankly, I'm bigger on wildlife and natural environment. So I'll be talking about tonight, I'm the vice president of Wildlife Garden Club, by the way, is my official title. And I'm talking, what can we do as gardeners and just ordinary citizens and residents, whether you're in a house or an apartment or whatever, what can we do to help our wildlife friends? So I'll be providing a summary of practical measures. The emphasis on not on exotic stuff, but on things that can support wildlife in suburban and rural areas. There's kind of, most of us here in Bastrop County, you live in a mixture of anything from downtown Bastrop to acreage and somewhere in between. So I'll be talking, a lot of this is going to be introductory type stuff. We have the opportunity as gardeners to help support wildlife. We can do conservation, we can do preserve land, and support natural beauty, which is kind of what gardening is about and what many of us are about. Now, the additional aspect is rural property owners, and I happen to be one. My wife and I happen to be one. You have an additional opportunity to actually help preserve a significant piece of Texas, and I'll touch upon that, a little bit here. So you can benefit themselves, and you can benefit your community. So again, I'll be talking about some practical things like birdhouses, like this thing, like these things here. It's not rocket science, and we're doing some projects in Bastrop and Smithville. We're doing some stuff at churches, and one message is this is not rocket science. Anyone can do it. So I'll give a little brief overview. It's called Texas Ag 1D1 and what's involved in that. What do you want birdhouses for? And so let's say you're a mother bird, and you have an option A of building a nest such as one of these things up in a tree. Along comes the wind, along comes the rain, along comes the snow, along comes the squirrels, along come the rat snakes, along come the fire ants, and next thing you know, you're in deep trouble. So our alternative to this is these 5-star hotels. So we've made a series of these things. Out of the range, we've probably done 50 of these things, we're doing more. So by doing a birdhouse or an outhouse or whatever, you now have greatly improved the environment for the wildlife and for birds and bats and stuff like that. So again, they're susceptible to things. So and I'll talk more about this, but we'll do predator control, we'll do shelter so that they're happy. And at the end of the day, there's kind of a phrase, I sing because I'm happy, but the eye of the sparrow watches over me, and the Lord watches over a sparrow and watches over me. So that's just kind of a moral story there. This is some of the birdhousing we do. We started off doing this at a ranch south of Smithville, and that's where we did these, and then they extended it more because I'm also a member of the Rotary Club, and so we're now doing these in the Rotary Club, and we're doing these in Bastrop, and so these are some of the things. So what we're doing is we install them on poles like T-posts. A T-post is a metal pole. Typically you see them along fields to keep out the cattle. In our case, we use T-posts because they're sturdy, $8, and they'll just, they install on the ground as hard as you want. We'll install predator guards. Here's an example of a predator guard, because one of the things you don't want to do is have your nestlings get after your snakes, after the fledglings. We found the importance of predator guards with, one time we had a house like this, we found this great body inside, and it was a rat snake. At that point, we had nothing against snakes. When we got after our baby bluebirds, that was not a good thing.
How do you attach it to the T-post?
I'll show a picture of that. We've gone it down to science, actually. We use metal straps. I'll describe that. You're going to see a picture of how we attach it. But one of the things one of the things you don't want to do with birds is use pressure-treated wood. I mean, we can make these things stainless steel or pressure-confined last forever. These are high-quality pine, imported pine made by Sturdyville. They're going to last. I mean, they're going to get tired after a while. But you figure to replace them after maybe 5 years. Like here's an example of a house which is more than 3 years old. It's still functional.
Does it turn gray like that?
Oh, yeah.
After it's weather on?
Yeah, it'll
Yeah,
turn
do you
gray.
see it green?
No, you don't want to paint it. And never do you want to attach birdhouses to trees. Forget it. Because it's perfect for predators and all that. You don't want to paint it. You don't paint it inside, you don't paint it outside. Now we do is we paint the roof. And we'll paint the back. It's kind of preservative to keep it a little bit cooler. So we buy these things from a place in Smithville. I can make them, but he's better at it than I am. So we simply buy them. So we can buy them from him. So, excuse me?
Of dirt dollars, so they don't get in
You
there?
don't get dirt dollars, you do get occasional wasps. These are not maintenance free.
Yeah.
It's nature things we're talking about, the only way you can have no maintenance is seal up everything. So there's a process. What you have to do is, about every 3 or 4 months, you open up the little door, and you say, I wonder what's in here. So you look for signs of bird's nests, and you will find occasional wasps. But again, think about the alternative if you run a bird. An occasional wasp is not the end of the world, or God's creatures do. But we've installed a bunch of these, and once in a while we get wasp nests, but it's not a problem. Not anywhere near the problem you're getting with predators like rat snakes and squirrels and stuff like that. So again, the environment is far, far superior. So it's not maintenance free. You just have to budget a little bit of time to take care of these things. And it's basically you're going to put these things up, check on the door in case of a bad house. You open the film, see what's going on inside. And so that's the deal.
So Norman, also the bluebirds want a specific hole to
Right.
go in,
Yes.
so they won't take any.
Of course, this is starting to have to text. Basically, I'm always big on getting it from people smarter than me. And like the Texas Bluebird Society, this is their design. And to Jackie's point, is every bird kind of has a hole. This is 1.5 inches, and it's good for bluebirds and for titmouse and certain things, and it's designed to exclude larger birds. At the end of the day, all birds except possibly grackles are good. So we do what we can do to encourage them. So,
But they don't stay all year, so there's a positive there. They leave after a
well,
while.
what we're trying to do is what we're trying to do here is encourage birds in general without being too anal about it. So that's kind of the deal. But we have to, as I say, you get to check them every so often. Now, this is again, we're patterned after this. And one of the things is, those Audubon people know something about birds. Jackie happens to be one, as is Marcia. So we pattern these things after that. And so what we do is we make the duck house is by Ducks Unlimited. The owl house is an Audubon Society thing. You can find plans for all these things. Later on, I have like a zillion slides. I'm going to send all my slides. I'm going to put down the email address at the end of this thing. You don't need to take notes. There'll be no exam. And I'm going to send this out to anyone that put down their email address. You get an email address, and you get all my slides. But so there's little things we've learned, like you have to install nails, so it does do this. But again, think it's lessons learned. It's not rocket science, but we're speaking from mistakes Jan and I have made through many years of doing this.
So, as for bluebirds, is it best to just leave the old nest in it or clean it out?
Basically, I think the consensus is
Clean it
when
out.
you clean it out, our thing, now we sometimes get behind. If you clean it out, typically birds are not building in January and August. And what happens, we've had this problem. We had too many nests in there, and that ain't good. And mites build up. So as Jackie says, it's probably prudent to clean it out a couple times a year, check on them quarterly. But you know, birds are not heavy-duty maintenance thing, and we're doing what we can to support them. This happens to be a wood duck house, which is what this is. And again, there's certain specifics for how you make one of these things. So for this, on the checking thing, you do this. There's little features like ducks are not great at climbing, so they have this little webby feet. So we do what we can do. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. We have pictures, and I think we might have one in here, pictures of a whole passel of baby ducklings. Well, like this happens to be one of those houses. That's a mama and that's a papa. Wood duck, which is to me about the world's prettiest bird. And so they set up shop with wood ducks and all that running around. Yes.
So you don't have to, you can just put them there and they will come without you having to put food out. I mean,
Oh, no.
that sounds stupid, but like you don't have to have a feeder or anything.
You know, we do,
Oh, okay.
you do environment. We put up bird feeders because we love birds. But for like ducks, the crickets to set up the environment. You're on the right track. It's not a matter of putting up duck food or bat food or something like that. It's a matter of setting the environment. So what we do at our place is, in our case, we have 105 acres. So we do what we can do to improve the environment. So we'll do feeding of natural stuff. And the ducks are just happy to explain. I mean, they're wild animals after all.
Do you have like a body of water?
Yes.
Because I live at Lake Thunderbird, and there's I see ducks flying all over the place.
What you want to do,
And I just have a small, like, quarter of an acre, so.
a quarter of an acre, you'd be surprised how adaptable wild critters are.
Oh, yeah, they're like, I see them, they're like on the top of the,
What you
on
wanna
the tree
do-
in my yard.
What you want to do is try and improve those things. These ducks are fascinating critters. What we're doing for Bastrop in Smithville, we're putting one of these along the Colorado River in Bastrop and at Riverbend Park, another one in Smithville. And so you could do this too. Where you get these things is Paul Beachy, it's 30 built, you know, in 71. These houses are $18, they're very nice. This I think is like $30, and this is the most deluxe model, it's $50. Go there, and you get a T-post. I'll have more information. I won't spend all my time. But you get a whole thing installed with traffic control frame for $50.
That would be good for the homeowners association out there.
Well, that's exactly what we like to do.
That would be good for them to say, that this is what we're doing, yeah.
That's right. That's a big deal for them to say, oh, we're doing it. That's exactly right. So, anyhow, this is the thing. So this is the wood duck house. Now, you asked about how you mount these things. This is a T-post. You can't really see it very good here.
Yeah.
Again, T-posts, we put in a zillion T-posts. You get them from Tractor Supply or Lowe's for like $8. 8-foot T-post. This post is a prototype here in the backyard. This post is actually too short.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, a cat did that.
Oh, no. Well, first of all, this one's too short. It should be another 2 feet up in the air. But here's the deal. Cats are not going to climb up this thing. Or snakes.
Yes.
But you're exactly right. Remember, Dr. Mark's mentor, yes.
Is that PVC pipe or what is that?
This is PVC pipe. Now, what we do is I have another picture which goes into this thing. What I do is this is through a drain pipe. Because I'm interested in doing this cost effectively. What I do is I go to Lowe's, and this is PVC drain pipe for like septic systems and stuff like that. You can pass it around the churches and see this thing. But, so this costs $2.50. And I take what's called hardware cloth and put on there. I slide it down to the PT post. I can install, or, you know, one of my
But it's
neighbors.
closed.
That's right. No, the glue is, no, good observation. What you do is you take tin snips and cut this. She knows where I'm going. You take some tin snips. You refine this process. We've made 12 different.
Okay, so you put that on there and then
You cut this.
the size of your post.
Basically, you don't even cut it the size of your post. What you do is you tack this. You cut like 4 of those strands and you bend it up. This is metal wire fundamentally. And then so what you do, then you slide it over. Now we take a stainless steel hose clamp so it doesn't keep going down. And then we attach some wires to this thing. And we want this thing to be floppy.
That's what's on our burgers.
That's right.
The baffle.
Yeah, so that's a baffle, it's predator control. So we've come up with this process. There's cones and there's all sorts of things that are complicated. The beauty about this is it's simple to make. I take a miter saw, so I cut this, so I get, for $16, you get 5 of these suckers. You cut and saw, and you attach a couple screws, and that's going to be in a lot of breaders.
I think if you, at Lowe's, they might cut it for you also.
Maybe not. What you can do is, I'm going to send you my email. I've gotten cutting of these things down to a science. If you bring me your post, I'm going to hit my email addresses. You bring post, because it takes me, what I do is I take a 10-foot post like this, I have my miter saw and go zoop, I'm done. So for me, it's seconds. I can do that. I'll do that as a service for nothing, just because believe it. But it's fundamental, it's just lightweight plank.
How does this stop the snake from getting it there?
What you do is, first of all, our hard press to get up there. What we do is, there's 2 things we do. One is, they go up here. The other thing we do is, we use bird netting. We make a skirt out of bird netting. It's not shown in this picture. We make a skirt out of bird netting, and snakes have no reverse. Again, snakes are godless creatures. What we do is, this post is too short. We normally have a skirt up there, and then the rat snakes are the only ones that climb up, and they can climb up anything. They climb up that, and that's the end of that snake. So again, at the risk of being gross, when a snake goes up that thing, the next day you're going to see a dead snake. 5 days later, you've got a really dead snake. 2 weeks later, you've got a really dead snake, and it's all gone. So anyhow, that's a bit gross, but again, it's the alternative. We're out to here to keep care of it. Yeah, so that's the deal with that. So we'll mount owls. This is a bat house, and so we mount this on the coat. This we're going to mount owls. So we're doing with Smithville and Bastrop. We're working with the Parks Department. They're going to put them up for us for that.
So this was an owl, right?
This is an owl house. So the way this works is it has little slits inside. This is the heaviest of the boxes, but that's an owl house. Again, this is patterned after those water.
That's not for horned owls.
It's for it's what they call the general purpose. There's owls come in a billion varieties.
So that's a
Screech owl. It's a general purpose.
Yeah.
You know, again, we went to the people and did searching. You'll find a billion searches for like this is different. That's a very expensive house. They make it for like $4 on a seat. There's a billion designs. The baseline is, in many things in life, perfection is the aim of completion. Anything is better than sticks in a tree. That's what it boils down to. So don't get too stuck on, if I came with a perfect, this is true of many things in life. If I came to the perfect thing, I'm going to do nothing. Don't fall into that trap. So anyhow, that's what we're trying to do. It's predator control, because predators can climb trees. Snakes, raccoons, you name it, they can climb trees. So we get this tight, we can keep those, and then we put it on public space, put a bigger T-post. What we'll do is we'll put up signs. I don't have a sample here. What we're doing is a public service project. We put up signs. It's kind of a variation on this, and you don't need to do that. But what we do too is you can check on this by opening up the door. But another way you can open the door is there's nest cams. Like this one we just got. I have a picture of Dan and 2 sisters in their rows. watching birds in the birdhouse the birds are in their nest, and Jan, her two sisters, are in their robes, watching the birds on 55th Street. They're just fascinating creatures, and they're here and they're gone. In nature, you know, from the time they lay the eggs to the babies are gone, it's a twinkle of an eye. But the trick is, how do you support them? By the way, Janet's recording this, we're going to post this to something like YouTube. So that's an SCM. Again, we've got down to a science like this happens to be a bad house, going on a utility pole. This is a typical thing, and people are getting nephews and other stuff to help put stuff up. The other thing we do is the National Wildlife Federation sign, like this happens to be one. Now, if you know thinking about your community, what we did is our church and Arc over our Ponds Ranch and Riverbend Park and one in Smithville, Fisherman's Park are all National Wildlife Certified National Wildlife Habitat. So again, it's not rocket science. You fill out an application to the National Wildlife Federation, you say I'm doing this, and they say it's this whole thing. They take your $20, you get to say, yeah, this is just great. But again, it's something we believe in. So that's what this is about. You can get your yard, like our yard, is National Wildlife Certified. We have our cover Ponds Ranch, 105 acre certified wildlife habitat. You can do this, your community can do this, whatever you want to do. The website's there, and ultimately one of our goals is to get Smithville and Bastrop as National Wildlife Federation certified cities. That's another story. We're doing this at our church in Smithville, and it's tough to do. So anyhow, that's certified wildlife habitat. Now I'm going to go through quickly. Again, I'm in charge of this thing for the Rotary Club. But I'm going to go through very quickly. Well, our thing as gardeners, and it's just people, we're here to help others. That's what the Garden Club is about. It's gardeners helping gardeners. That's what the core mission is here. So in this case, Rotary is a service organization. So we're doing this for the cities of Bastrop and Smithville as a public service. Because in essence, we've done this. And here's very important. If you don't take away from this thing, this is not rocket science. You can do it. You can help your church do it. You can help your community do it, whatever. Again, this is not expensive or hard to do, and you're helping wildlife. So I consider that a good thing. And like you Smithvillians,
Do what?
you Smithvillians, this is good stuff to do.
Absolutely.
So again, it's good, it's active. You can go out and do all the counts and all the stuff you want. At the end of the day, you're really benefiting the wildlife. In this case, you can clearly say with a straight face, yes, I'm actually benefiting wildlife. So that's good. So this is kind of what we're doing as a public service project. We're installing about 8 birdhouses in Bastrop at Fisherman's Park, and we're doing another 8 in Smithville. We're going to do some at various other places. And so again, a support of this. So we're installing in various locations. So one of the things to extend this is we're going to do this. We're doing this. We start off doing this in our backyard, then we extend it to our ranch, and then we extend it to there. Now we're doing it with our Methodist and Catholic churches. Again, we're doing, birds need water, protection, and shelter. That's the basic rules of life, whether it's humans or wildlife, we have similar needs. We need food, shelter, water, and so that's what we're doing there is we're installing a bird bath with a little solar water fountain. Because birds like a little movement. It makes it more interesting for people too, but they're there, we're going to install a little water, a little fountain, a little solar thing, and so that's a good thing. So this is another plug. We have various organizations here, and if you have an interest in doing this, I'm sharing this slide because again, this is not something, it's something best shared than just kept to a private club. So again, I'll be doing some versions of Lions Club too. So again, that's what we can do. So we locate them in spots which are good for the public, because we want them to learn what's involved. You don't do Grand Central Station, you don't install in the middle of a HEB parking lot, but you can install in regional places. So good visibility, in this case, we're installing on city-owned property, and we're installing in various places. Textile has a whole bunch of stuff going, sometimes you do the textile stuff, engineer, but you can do it in schools, you can do it anywhere. And then Bastrop is Bird City, Texas. So in essence, they approved that, so we're working with the parks ladies there, because this is again an example of a concrete measure to actually support birds. That's a good thing. And then we'll work with Smithville to get the same thing. So this is the cities decide where they want to do it. We provide recommendations. Now we have recommendations from the Luke and from people smart people like Marcia. A good place to put a birdhouse is A, B, and C. So you have to work with the city and say, this is our property. Typically, they're supportive. It costs them nothing, because when we approach them, we're going to say, we're going to do this at no cost to you, and we'll maintain it. So it's a deal. So that's a deal. So they're happy to do it. But we look for expertise, like in the case of River Park and Fisherman's Park, both are susceptible to flooding. So they said, okay, our T-posts don't care about flooding. We're just going to locate them judiciously. They'll help install them, and they're going to say, you really can do it. And then what we'll do, yes.
This is only in the city limits, or is it?
Well, in this case, in principle, in the city limits of Smithville and Bastrop, we're picking public parks like Fisherman's Park and Riverbend Park deliberately. And there's a museum park, and there's Bob Bryant Park, and on and on and on. The nice thing about public parks is they're city-owned. The city has a vested interest, frankly. Like I'm coordinating with the city manager of both, Smithville and the mayor of both. So I'm coordinating with them, and we're deliberately picking city-owned property. If you want to do this with your private property, obviously knock yourself out.
They made us take them out of Butcher State Park. That's how come I got all the bird houses.
Okay, what?
Butcher State Park, they used to take them out. They used to be there.
I don't know about that. One of the things you want to do when you're dealing with governments is coordinate in advance. You want to have them be part of the process. Never do anything, the general rule of life is don't piss off the government guys. Because if, in this case, we're going to great pains in coordinating with the city manager, the parks, the public works, and the mayor of all those entities. So at the end of the day, there's not going to be, and in essence, the mayor can order their staff to support this. And he says this. They want to do it anyways, but, I don't know exactly about the cost, but, you want to.
I'm thinking personally about, like you said, I live in Lake Thunderbird, there's also Indian Lake,
Right.
there's two bodies of water. So there's wildlife there, but we're not in the city limits, so, because I even was trying, because I'm a vice president of the homeowners association, so I was even kind of looked into possibly getting, it's lower income area,
Right.
and but I've been just trying to find, because we're not in the city limits.
Here's my suggestion, because we live at the colony, which is a different time area. Go to the next homeowner association meeting and do a pitch. Such a deal we have for you. We're going to make Indian Lake better, or Lake Thunderbird better. We're going to install bird houses to attract wildlife. It's because there's no downside. You're going to take care of it all. Because homeowner association, their interest is how can we make it better, and does it cost us anything? If you tell them a straight face, you're willing to do all the work and absorb all the costs, and you're going to make it better, and there's a downside, how can you not say yes? I mean, at the end of the day, it's in their interest, yes.
A long time ago, one Smithville citizen put up bluebird houses in Fisher Park. And he put them on the trees, and he didn't put them in the correct place. The little babies want to have a tree to fly out to, and it's kind of technical for what each bird species wants and needs, and so they never were inhabited. But all that about the trees and
basically,
and
never put birdhouse in trees.
But I mean, but also that the bluebirds want to have
Right.
a tree to fly to. And then like the bats, the females, you know, the male and females have different temperature needs as far as.
What you're doing is you're doing the best you can. So what we do is, in the case of citizen going installing a birdhouse that can be well-meaning, don't do it. If you think, well, I'm doing a good thing, I'm going to go stick a birdhouse on a tree out there, again, out in the story what you're talking about,
Yeah.
don't you allow to go do it. First of all, the city folks will get annoyed at you, unnecessarily. If you ask an advice, because I'm a project manager by training. You coordinate in advance with people as a business, say yes or no. If they say no, you say, okay, fine, we're out of here. It's the end of the story, no harm, no foul. But you're invariably going to go, whether it's a home association or city of Bastrop or Smithfield or Liechtenstein, if you put it to them, because that's how we approach Smithfield and Bastrop.
Maybe a win-win.
That's right, quick, write that down. Make it a win-win. We're willing to do it all. It's going to work out. We're going to get the advice of people smarter than us, such as Marcia, on how to do this right. And lessons learned, like you're talking about, you know, what the birds care about. And so we're going to do it right. So we do this thing, we did a site survey in Bastrop, and so we had, experts like Luke Thompson, genius, came along and said, we're going to do it there. We install these things, and said, put it here and here, and don't put it there. Fine. So that's the approach. One of the things is an additional consideration in supporting the rural nature of Smithville, Texas, and the general environment. We love the rural nature and the suburban nature. So growth and development is occurring, so let's take advantage of that. Now, one of the things is you can support part of wildlife is I'm big on rural properties. We have a 105-acre ranch. We also have a family property of 250 acres. And what we do there is our emphasis on wildlife. In this case, what you get out of Texas Act 1D1, I could spend a long time talking about this subject. I'm giving a broad brush. Texas Act 1D1 is wildlife/open space. Texas wants properties to be preserved. So what we're doing is this viable approach where we're preserving our properties. And then so what you get out of that is you get the Texas Ag valuation of approximately 75 cents an acre instead of $1 zillion an acre on the land.
Do you have to have a body of water?
No. You have to do 3 out of 7 things. I'm going to go through that quickly. You do not need a body of water. You have to do certain things to support wildlife. That's the criteria. They have a search, you have to do a form and all that stuff. Again, it's a long story of how you do it, but it's not rocket science. I've done it several times. I love other people. It's just something I believe in, and the property benefits are an additional benefit. So one of the things with traditional ag like cattle, I hate cow fields. If you look at, you've seen the things with the big barren fields devoid of any life. It's just a lot of work, and it's ugly. So you can get property benefits on the land, not the houses. You still pay full price in houses, but land is what we're trying to preserve. And then there's a link here which you pop up. There's a lot of misconception what this is about. So what you have to do is you do 3 out of 7 things. For example, you have to do supplemental food. We'll put up bird feeders with sunflower seeds just occasionally, but the main thing we'll do is improve the environment. We'll do planting of appropriate plants. We'll do food plots. Like with the Texas Parks and Wildlife guy comes, he says, you need a couple food plots here, a couple acres. We said, yes, sir. So we brought out a tractor and a disc and planted food plots. So again, it's something to do. There's deer feeders. We'll do supplemental water with stock tanks. One of the things is we have occasional cattle out there, and the cattle will never go into the banks or ponds, whatever you want to call it. We put electric fences around, and they go to stock tanks. The cattle are happy, the fish are happy, the pond's happy, everyone's happy. So that's what we do. It's a very simple measure, which we do. And that check is where census, we go out with game cameras, and we look around and see if you find any poop or tracks or whatever is assigned to 4 logs. Check that off. And then so game cameras, we have little logbooks. At this point, this week you're required to do 3 out of 7. This is 3 out of 7. Predator control. This is predator control. We'll shoot feral hogs in excessive quantities. And so supplemental shelters, we'll put up birdhouses, we'll put up brush piles. After the great ice storm, we said, well, we could put the branches out in the trash, or we could load them up to the truck and put them in the piles. The mammals are happy. When Luke was there, he said, this is great. Birds and mammals love brush piles. They hate big open pastures. That's great. Supplemental shelter. Habitat control, we improve that. We'll do erosion control. So this is the 3 of 7. You have to get this form from the government, from the county, fill it out, and life is good. This is some of our things. This happens to be Eric Over Ranch. That's a mama duck. We have some pictures, like there's some egrets and stuff like that. We have pictures of 2 different varieties of ducks and egrets, and also paddling around in our pond. You know, we were talking about the pond you have. We have several ponds. This one is maybe 1/4 of an acre. It's not giant, but birds are happy with it. You know, the baseline is terrible. You have to keep in mind what you're trying to do is the bar is fairly low. You're trying to make it better than terrible. If you can succeed.
Better than nothing.
You can write that down. Give that lady a cigar. Let's see, I'm going to go through this extremely quickly. This is going to be on my slides. So this is an Outbox house. This is a price list. How we do them. So at the end of the day, this is approximately what it costs with a fairly deluxe model. It costs us $50, and it takes 5 minutes. Well, this is how to make a cheaper birdhouse. It's made of cedar fence stick. You can get those from Lowe's for $4.50. More birdhouses. There's a zillion plans you can do. You can do your own. In my case, I simply go to someone, Paul Beachy, it's 30 built, and he makes them for me. And for this, because that's the thing. Wood duck house. How many mountains? Someone asked this. What's that?
You went,
Excuse me. What did I do? How did I get there?
There you go. There you go. Okay.
I think I made it to here.
There.
Okay. Well, this is a Bluebird Society house. That's where I got those plans. Wood duck house. Oh, this is how I mounted it. I get this strapping stuff. You get a roll of it for $10. Gives you 2 lifetime supplies of strapping stuff.
How do you strap it on?
Good question. What we do is you have a T-post like this. So what you do is I cut about an 8-inch length of the strapping stuff and put a screw here. A hex set screw. Put it in there, and I put another screw here so it doesn't slide down. We can install one of these in 5 minutes. But the strapping is a technique we came up with after trial and error. And so the strapping works out real good. It'll last, it's galvanized steel.
Strapping goes on the post or on the birdhouse?
It goes on, yes. What it does, it goes in the birdhouse. Try and envision a little U like this.
It's like a hanger.
It's kind of like a hanger. What it does is it's fastened to it. The post is like this, and then you attach it so it's pretty tight against it.
Oh.
And it has those kind of nipples that stick out, so
Yeah, we don't use those.
you grab it.
You don't use that. No, basically, trust me, those nipples on there are pain. They're just there. What we do is we pick a flat side, T-post. I don't want to get into details, but the T-post, trust me, it works out great. And I could have brought a sample of this. You're going to see some of these at Riverbend Fisherman's Park in the next couple of weeks, and you're welcome to go look at them. But anyhow, we got it down to
So then how does that attach to it?
well, the T-post like this. This is going to be like this. So when you see these things in use,
Oh,
the
okay.
birdhouse is going to be like right here. And then this is here. And then so we'll have the snake netting down here. And that could be, the birds should be happy with that arrangement.
And so you just kind of wire it on there? Because you said you wanted it to be kind of wobbly.
Yeah, what you do is,
Because you have
what
a
we do
little dips on it.
is we take 10 snips and cut this.
Just enough to get the T-post through.
Yeah, and what you do is wire it kind of bends. So you put down a stainless steel hose clamp.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be doing some of these when you go to Riverbend Park and Fisherman's Park. You can come to our house now and see some of these at our ranch. We could do a field trip sometime. We're proud of it. But now what you do is you cut this with 10 snips, you slide it down. We've had more complex arrangements. But I'm interested in something that's practical, effective, and frankly inexpensive. This costs me $2.50. And I think it should work very good. We've done baffles, the metal baffles. They don't like about that they flop in the wind, and I'm afraid the birds get nervous about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's a stovepipe predator guard, which is one of the things that recommended. We've done these, Smithville, we've done various styles of predator guard. We have a bird feeder at our place, because squirrels are an issue with bird feeders. And this is on conduit. This is snake netting. This is the wood ducks at our place. So the wood duck eggs. And that's my lovely assistant / partner. And we've had that there for several years. That house, I don't even know how long that was taken, but it works out good. So there's a bat house. There's a wildlife census.
Do you know if that's it?
No.
You haven't found any?
No, we haven't found any bats. Bats are persnickety critters.
Yeah, I know.
And when you put out these things, one thing you have to keep in mind, like gardening or birds, you can't be assured of success. If you want to be sure, just like plants sell flowers. But no, we put out 3 or 4 bat houses, and so far we've not got any, but we're optimistic.
You see bats?
Well, actually, we don't. In our case, they're funny critters. You don't see them certain times. Our thing is, when we come by with the Bastrop Central Appraisal District guy, he says, "Are you trying?" He says, "Yes, there's a bat house, there's a bat house, there's a duck house." And he's happy as a man. But seriously, we believe in trying. And one thing you can be in many things in life, if you don't try, you can't succeed. So our thing is, whether it's birdhouse or gardening, if you don't try, you cannot succeed. That's one thing.
They have all sorts of temperature controls for the males, the females, and the babies.
In our case, what we do is we go to bat house information, and it's not exotic. So they have little things like how do you do little feet. Again, avoid the trap of if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to try.
Well, Norman, we had some around here because one came in, don't you remember? When I caught the bat in here and put it back outside.
Well, again, we do what we can do.
I have them in my house, I can hear them in the afternoon.
Oh, that's
But
good.
I think they nest in those, when they build the roads, they build those bridges with those big metal things, they're in there.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, we'll do census. We'll actually mark. Because the county people like to know where things are.
Wait, can you find that online somewhere? Like, if we want to go and look of the different.
Yeah, everything I have, you're going to have I'm going to send out my slides to you, and there's links for all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
And if you call me, it's something I believe in anyways. There's a link, there's a service called Google. And if you Google search on anything, you're going to end up with information. So that's the deal with that. So we do game grants and census. We'll do bird feeders because we believe in birds.
Well, what kind of food do you plant when you plant a
What we do is we get to the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the National Resource Conservation Service. And in our case, what we're trying to do is historical like in Buffalo over here. We're trying to avoid monocultures. So we're doing things like to encourage quail. They hate lawns. Forget about lawns and television. What you want to do is clump rations. And so there's a whole art of that. It's a long science of how do you make things. But one thing is again, think of anything you do is better than what you typically find.
Where do you get that bird feeder?
Excuse me?
Where do you get that? Oh, Tractor Supply, okay.
Tractor Supply. We're a huge fan of Tractor Supply. You get that bird feeder for $7. We have these at our house, and we have to fill them up pretty much every day. The birds love sunflower seeds. We've never succeeded with anything else. I don't know about anyone else. We go through several pounds of food a day. We have a pair of these, and we have to fill them up. When it's a busy time, we'll have to fill them up every day or every other day. They'll go through that many seeds, yes.
And suet is good. I had the pileated woodpecker at my house last week, and the pileated woodpecker is about this size,
Yeah.
very large.
So again, what you're trying to do is, that's it, yes.
On the owl house here, you know, I'm thinking that, you know, if you got a small house, you know, no big bird can get in there, but it seems like small birds, you
Yes.
have to consider.
Well,
keeping
basically,
them
what you
small
do
birds.
is, at the end of the day, anything except grackles are good. But first of all, with owls, owls have their own, shall we say, offensive mechanism. They'll eat, they're carnivorous. So at the end of the day, of all the things you might have a problem with, owls have their own way of taking care of matters.
You're looking and it comes home and you're like, uh-oh.
So Norma, do y'all ever do anything for the chimney swifts?
They come up on your bridges.
They make,
Yeah, what
I
we
heard
do-
that they will make it, because
what
they
we
only
do-
nest in a chimney.
There's various terms like chimney swifts or barn swallows.
Yes.
They can be a giant mess, pretty good environment. What we do out at our ranch, they became so prolific, they bombed Jan and myself. We put a bird netting on the front porch. They were so aggressive. And you'd see the mom and the papa there, and they build their nest, and we tear them down, we finally said, screw it. We put a bird netting, and we had to go in the door, we left the bird netting inside, that's what we dealt with.
Well, I heard that the Audubon Society, since they only nest in chimneys, that the Audubon Society was making these fake chimneys and just putting them out in the pasture.
There's chimney swifts, and there's barn, there's various kinds of swallows. There's things that build nests, and they can be very aggressive. If you look at some bridges, they go crazy. And again, we have nothing against birds, but when they get too prolific, they can get out of hand. So
I
it's
have it in my chimney all the time.
well,
That's what
actually what you do is get a chimney cap.
I can't because I have a Count Rumford fireplace that was made, and the that messed up the draft.
Well,
So-
anyhow.
So I just clean out the.
You basically want a chimney caps of water that run down, but that's another story. But we have chimneys, we have 2 or 3 chimneys, and we put chimney caps on the screens.
I have a question, so, it's a little bit off this, but I have a tiny little flower motif. So I have a huge problem with hawks, like really bad, they'll come right back. So is there, is doing any of this, owls would be a predator. So I'm sure that there's some things that I guess you would want to support the owls for
What you want to do is, because we were concerned about owls, but then after we did some research, the beauty about owls is, suppose of course they can eat songbirds, but one of the beauties about owls is they're nocturnal, and birds are around during the day. So owls are a bigger threat to snakes and mice and rats. So I say that's
But
great.
the hawks are not.
Hawks, you can't do about that. Again, it's all nature, it's all nature.
Again, that's, the hawks are during the daytime.
Yeah, they're, I
Right.
don't want to support the hawks. I do not like the hawks, they come right up
You
the
can't,
bomb.
you know, basically,
They can do
at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do. I'll send all these slides out, and I'll be happy to give any information on this thing. And I'll send all this slides. Make sure you put your email address on your thing.